Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Derek Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today, we're going to do authorized user trade lines. We got some special prices, so stay tuned. We're going to try and boost your credit score real fast, and you can do it with AU trade lines. Remember, payment history and age are very important, in fact, the most important. The amount of the credit limit is also important. So we're going to have some that go through all three of these, which will get 80% of your credit score to help boost it. So please stay tuned and welcome. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back. So today, authorized user trade lines. And as usual, I'll put up this little chart on the screen because you can see what the most important parts are, like we've discussed several times in the past. Your payment history is 35% of your score. Your debt utilization is 30% of your score for 65% of your score. And then when you add the age of your credit, that makes it 80% of your score when you add the 15% on top of it. And then when you have the mixed use and the trade lines, you can get 10% for each additional and new trade lines as well. So that gets your 100%. So that's why if you can concentrate on 80%, and new credit could count, depending on what's on your credit report, to get a 90%, you can boost your score generally a nice amount of points if you do this right. Because debt utilization, you really want to have it under 9%, and under 29% is fine. But then you want to have age. Age and limit is kind of important. So we'll go over some good limits today. So we'll make this short and sweet. I don't want to go into the usual where I go into the debt utilization, each little pocket here. So I'm just going to give you some trade lines, and if you want these, you know where to get me. Eric at StopStrugglingNow.com. Email me right away. So these all have different statement dates, meaning some of these will have postings of the 15th of the month or thereabouts, or the close date, let's call it. The date that they take a snapshot could be the 4th of the month, so therefore it will post somewhere between the 11th and probably the 15th of the month on your credit file. So there's some that you can get done in the next 2 to 3 weeks and boost your credit score within 30 days in actuality, especially when you have a large amount of age. So we'll get into some nice ages. All these are going to be special prices right now. Okay, so if you get this, you need to contact me right away because everything is under $999. Everything's under $1,000. And there's going to be age ranges from 6 years and older. And most people who have contacted me know that when you get into five figures like 14,000, 11,000, and then try to get like 10 years or more, you're usually over $1,000 for an AU trade line. And everyone asks, how long is a trade line going to be on your credit report or credit file? It's going to be on there 3 to 4 months. That's what we're going to guarantee. Some of you may know that who's gotten trade lines before that I've left them on for maybe 5 months. But I don't want to make that the standard. The standard is anywhere from 90 to 120 days. It depends on the post date and things like that. But just put it on there for 3 to 4 months. So that's it. So without further ado, as we always say, let's go with 17 years, 5 months, Capital One, $5,000 trade line credit limit, and it's only $669. That's right, $669. That will be the lowest one, 17 years and 5 months. Next up, 15 years and 3 months of age. It's a chase, and it's $18,000 credit limit. Trade line, and again, these are AU trade lines. This means this is someone else's credit. You don't get to use the credit yourself. You're not going to receive a card in the mail to be able to use it. It's just going to be added to your credit file. So when they report it on your credit, it'll show 18,000, for instance, 15 years of age. So that way it generally will boost most people's age, which is great because you want to be 5 to 7 years in reality with age. So, and then you'll have all that 15 years of payment history, which should boost your credit score up nicely. And that is $779. And now we go to 14 years and 0 months. And that's a Chase card also, $4,300 Tradeline, and it's $889. Next is Wells Fargo, $7,800 Tradeline, 11 years, 6 months, $979. Citibank, $11,000 AU Tradeline, 10 years, 7 months, and it's $999. I should add that I'm going with mostly the big banks, because the big banks, you get a little bit extra few points because you have major banks like a Wells Fargo, a Capital One, a Bank of America, a Citibank, a Chase. These are international conglomerate type banks, and you get a little few more points for having those versus some unknown bank or some little credit union Visa card, just so you know. Next up, Citibank, $3,700. That's all the limit is, but it's 10 years, 5 months worth of payment and age history, $699. Chase Bank, $14,000 AU Tradeline, 8 years, 5 months, $995. And last but not least, just for this online special, is Chase. Again, $10,000 AU Tradeline, 6 years, 3 months, $749. With all that said, these are the specials right now. I have other trade lines, so you can contact me again at eric@stopstrugglingnow.com, and I'll send you a list of the trade lines. But keep in mind, a lot of people say, hey, I need trade lines, but I have to ask you, why are you getting the trade lines? It's just a standard question, only so I know what your time frame is, because if you say I'm trying to buy a house in 6, 7, 8 months, then you might as well go with primary trade lines and build your primary trade line scores instead of using an AU that may expire in 3 to 4 months, because then you're only going to have like a 4-month window. So that's why, one of the reasons I asked. The second reason is I ask if you know what you're trying to do with the AU trade line, because a lot of people just think about, well, I need 5 years of payment history, so I'll boost my credit score up. Or I know it does something with debt utilization. So it does matter if you have any derogatory credit, you can offset it with AU trade lines, even primary trade lines. But the primary trade lines, the maximum we have is $5,000, which is nice. But if you can get an authorized user trade line for $18,000 or $14,000, you can offset derogatory credit or collections on your account. So I'll give you an example. If you have $2,000 in collections that's against you on your credit file, then all you have to do is say, okay, $2,000, in order for me to get under 29%, then all I need is like an $8,000 trade line. So you can get under 29%, but do you want to get under 10%? So therefore you would need a trade line of like $20,000, and ideally you would still want to get some age with that, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of age. So then you'll have the payment history, plus you'll offset your collections. And yes, something like that may cost over $1,000, roughly $1,200 to $1,350, but you can therefore have a decent credit score in the upper sixes with that scenario, having a $2,000 collections on your account, and then you would have a $20,000 AU trade line. That could help you out tremendously. That could get your score from something like a 600 to almost 700. that simply. And 3 to 4 months, then you can go get a new credit card. You can go get a car or home or whatever else you're trying to get with a decent interest rate. Because the worse your credit score is, the more interest you're going to pay. That's just the bottom line to the story. They have you hemmed up all different kind of ways. So I'm not going to make this too long. But if you want to get into these special trade lines, and if you don't see the trade line that you need, just send me a message. Okay? And also, I should add, when people send me an email, I usually ask to log into the Credit Karma. So if you feel comfortable with me giving me a username and password, of course you can always make the password temporary. But if you feel like giving me your username and password, then I can log in and I can see what your buckets are. I can see what your payment history is. I can see what your debt utilization is. I can see what if you have any derogatory credit. I can get all of this, and then I can advise you at no cost. You do know this is the no guru zone. There's no webinar. There's no classes. There's no course. And I'll advise what you should do. And then you can choose from there. It's up to you what you do. So that's how we do it here. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. And please share all the videos. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And you know it's hard out here. It keeps going. The stock market, it's fooling us all. The Standard & Poor, S&P 500 hit a new record. This is remarkable. It looks like the economy's doing great, but remember, most Americans don't even have money in the stock market. This is helping people who've already invested in the stock market prior to now. So even though it went up, those people who invested when it was 2008, 9, 10, those who invested when it was like 2011, 12, and even some dips when it went down earlier this year or last year, you might have a surprise in your wealth management fund or whatever you're using. But for most people, only the 1%ers and the corporate guys who have shares of stock because they're employed there, or 401ks are actually maybe looking good too. But just keep in mind, they pick which stocks they want to share on these markets. So they take some out and move some in. If something's not performing that good, like a GE was on the New York Stock Exchange for 100 years, because all of a sudden they have accounting irregularities, they say, nah, we're going to take it off because they're dropping from like $25 to $30 a share down to $10 a share. That would weight the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it would reduce it. So they say, oh no, we'll take that away and replace it with something else. So this is how you can have a Google who isn't even 30 years old. This is how you can have other companies who are like brand new in the last 10 to 20 years, Apple, things like this. They could be on the New York Stock Exchange, whereas the older ones are taken off because their stocks have basically on the decline. So anyhow, keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.